And at this time, I would like to recognize the distinguished gentleman, the ranking member from New York, my colleague and friend, Mr. Ackerman, for 5 minutes.
I thank the chairman and appreciate his remarks. I'd like to thank him for scheduling actually the second hearing on the subject of human rights in Syria and Iran. While much of the world's attention is focused on the Palestinians' foolish and dangerous gambit to find a shortcut to statehood at the United Nations, the violence in Syria and the ongoing oppression in Iran, as well as that country's illegitimate nuclear ambitions, which must be stopped, continue unabated and thrive in the absence of focused international attention. As a global power and a guarantor of security in the Middle East, the United States can't afford to take timeouts on critical issues such as these. The tyrants, torturers, and theocrats would all prefer we did. But our interests and responsibilities require us to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time, so they say. Our interests in the Middle East are varied, but all of them are improved by the weakening of the regimes in Tehran and Damascus, and all would be significantly aided by the collapse of the axis between Syria and Iran. Whether it's aiding Israel's search for peace and security, or protecting Lebanon's sovereignty, or preventing Iranian hegemony, or undercutting Hezbollah and Hamas, or nurturing Iraq's development, or sustaining our partnership with Turkey, or just promoting the spread of democracy and human rights, every loss for these regimes is a gain for us and innocent people as well throughout the region. The strategic partnership between these two criminal regimes has produced instability, terror, and violence in Lebanon, Israel, and Iraq, as well as frontally challenging the nuclear non-proliferation regime. These two disgraceful, blood-soaked regimes must, and I believe they will, end up on history's trash heap with other discarded and disgraced models of government based on coercion, violence, and brutality. Iran's ayatollahs will not rule Iran forever, and Bashar al-Assad's days in Syria are likewise numbered. The collapse and failure of these regimes, when it occurs, will not be the product of our efforts or our intervention, though we will surely welcome these developments when they do occur. The jails or nooses that will hold the remains of Iran's misanthropic theocrats or the Assad mafia will be in the hands of free Iranians and Syrians, and we will celebrate from afar their liberation from the darkness of tyranny. The question for us today is twofold. First, to consider what options are available for us to aid the people of Syria and Iran in their struggle to free themselves from the insidious parasites that have seized control of their governments. And second, to think about the strategic implications of the Arab Spring on these two countries and their so-called axis of resistance, which has caused so much destruction in the region. When it comes to providing direct aid to the people of Syria and Iran, I'm leery about our prospects of doing too much. A great deal of our contribution to the freedom of these nations will come in the form of stringent economic and political sanctions to choke the life out of these oppressive regimes and prevent their efforts to acquire or proliferate weapons of mass destruction. As much assistance as we can provide, we should make available. We should provide technical assistance to circumvent censorship and government control and surveillance of cyberspace. We should use the influence of the United States to name and shame and punish companies to break or backfill sanctions, or that provide critical enabling technologies or consulting services to the Syrian and Iranian mechanisms of oppression. We should help facilitate efforts by Iranian and Syrians to organize themselves and encourage cooperation between different groups with the same objective of freedom. We must continue to advocate for universal human rights and the rule of law as essential underpinnings for true democracy. But as essential as speaking for what we support, we must also denounce these regimes for their repression at home and their instigation of violence and terrorism abroad, constantly pointing out that these regimes are devoid of legitimacy, that their leaders are murderers and torturers of innocents is not an expression of our opinion, it is a statement of fact. Ayatollah Khomeini is not a cleric, he's a butcher. Bashar al-Assad is not a political leader, he's a mob boss. The motives of protesters in Syria and their predecessors in Iran are fundamentally the same as those of people everywhere. They want democracy, freedom, dignity, jobs, and respect for human, civil, and political rights. These things, we Americans know, are not gifts from government to the people, but they are the very rationale for people to institute governments in the first place. These ideas, which empowered our own revolution, are now transforming the Middle East, and we should have no compunctions about speeding the work in Syria and Iran.